Now more than ever, it is important that we talk to one another about issues we're struggling with. And it is okay to not feel okay. I've slowly tried to work out what can I bring to the role and the platform that I have. I have taken some inspiration and guidance from what my mother did, particularly with homelessness.
Prince William was always calm and collected, but that morning, something unexpected happened. During a regular public visit, a little girl nervously walked up to him and asked a question that stopped him in his tracks. It wasn't about being a prince or living in a palace. It was about God. His response brought the girl to tears and left everyone around deeply touched. What did he say to move her so much? Keep watching to find out how this simple moment became so unforgettable. That autumn morning in central London, Prince William had come to lend support to a charity event organized for bereaved children. The event was filled with the sounds of family stories shared, counselors ready to encourage, and different activities directed toward helping their children sort through their own grief amidst a serene garden out of the community center. Among others, there came a 7-year-old golden-haired, bright-eyed girl in pigtails named Emily Andrews. This is where it gets a bit sad, and you'll soon see why. She had lost her dad, Mark, the past year to an automobile accident. A hard-working laborer in construction who was committed to his child. He was her all. His sudden demise had left a gap in her heart, which no amount of soothing words appeared to fill. For Prince William, the support for the bereaved children is something very personal. He had lost his mother, Princess Diana, when he was young and knew what it felt like to live with grief, with all those questions still remaining unanswered. It's one of those shared vulnerabilities that allows him to connect. And his visits are not exactly royal visits, but really meaningful interactions. As he walked through the garden, listening to the stories of children and offering words of encouragement, his warmth and sincerity were palpable during the event. It was unmistakable that his advocacy went beyond raising awareness to actually reaching out to people where they were and giving them hope and healing. His presence immediately lit up the atmosphere. Parents were taken by his sincerity, children, his warmth. Emily clutched a photo of her father while Prince William wove through the crowd, kneeling to talk with children and listening intently to their stories. When it was her turn, at her mother's urging, shy Emily stepped forward. The moment Emily asked her heartfelt question, Prince William was visibly moved. He was accustomed to public interactions filled with light-hearted comments or discussions about his royal duties. But this was different. Her question pierced through the formalities and brought him face to face with the deep emotional weight of loss, a subject he knew all too well. For a brief moment he hesitated, not out of discomfort, but because her words struck a chord within him. Does God take care of people in heaven? It wasn't a question he often received, especially given the public scrutiny of his relationship with the Church of England. The rumors about his faith, or perceived lack thereof, flashed momentarily in his mind, but he quickly dismissed them, realizing this moment wasn't about him. It was about Emily and the comfort she desperately sought. Kneeling to her level, he began his response with humility. "Emily, that's such a brave question," he said, his voice soft but steady. "It's one I've thought about a lot too, especially when I lost my mom. I didn't always know how to make sense of it. But over time, I've come to believe that God does take care of the people we love. They're in a place where there's no pain or sadness, only peace and love." As he spoke, William realized how much her question had challenged his faith. He often found himself grappling with the deeper meanings of life, especially in moments of personal introspection. Emily's innocence and honesty reminded him that, despite his royal upbringing and public role, he was just as human as she was, seeking answers to life's biggest questions. The interesting thing is that the encounter might have never happened if not for Emily's mum. Why is that? Keep watching to find out. Claire, Emily's mother, had read about the charity event in a newspaper and thought it might help her daughter be with other children who had suffered a loss. Emily had been reluctant to go, but lately she had been asking a lot of tough questions about life and death, such as, "Is Daddy happy in heaven?" The highlight of the event came when Prince William, a man whose philanthropy has long been steered by his compassion and personal experiences, visited. Long known for his advocacy in mental health, especially among children and young people, the Prince has championed numerous initiatives aimed at breaking the stigma surrounding emotional struggles. He has used his work through the Royal Foundation to help launch campaigns such as Heads Together that bring together people and services focusing on the emotional well-being of the population and the provision of counseling for grief. His presence was more than ceremonial, but showed how he stands for being able to offer comfort and hope in some of life's most painful moments. Her trembling voice asking if her dad was proud of her brought a lump to his throat. "I'm certain of it," he replied gently, his sincerity evident in his eyes. "And you carry a part of him with you every day, in your heart, in your memories. He's with you in everything you do." In those moments, William wasn't a prince or a public figure. He was simply a person who understood the profound ache of losing a loved one and the comfort that faith, or even the hope of it, could bring. The exchange left him with a sense of humility and purpose, a reminder of how his platform could be used not just to advocate for causes, but to connect on a deeply personal level with those who needed reassurance the most. Emily looked up at Prince William, her face still streaked with tears but her voice steady with curiosity. "Does God love everyone?" she asked, her big eyes searching for reassurance. The question hung in the air, striking the prince like a quiet storm. For a moment, he was transported back to the sleepless nights when Catherine was struggling with her debilitating morning sickness during her pregnancies. He had often wrestled with that very question himself, wondering why a loving God would allow someone he cherished so deeply to suffer. Those doubts had lingered in his heart, challenging his faith in ways he rarely spoke about. As William prepares to respond to Emily, he remembers the wisdom Queen Elizabeth II often shared about faith during her reign. Known for her deep Christian beliefs, the Queen frequently spoke about the role of faith in guiding her through difficult times. William recalls a particular moment from his youth, when the Queen comforted him after Diana's passing. She told him that faith doesn't always provide clear answers, but gives strength to carry on. Inspired by her words, William incorporates this sentiment into his response to Emily, emphasizing that while no one has all the answers, faith can offer solace and hope in the darkest times. Prince William's gaze softened, and he knelt again to meet Emily's eyes. "That's a question I've asked myself too, Emily," he admitted, his voice low but honest. "When someone I love has been hurting, or when things feel unfair, I've wondered the same thing. But then I think about the people around us, the ones who step in to help, to love, and to make things better. I believe God's love is in them, in the way they show kindness and care, and I believe He loves all of us, even when it's hard for us to see it." Emily tilted her head, processing his words, while those standing nearby fell silent, struck by the vulnerability in the prince's voice. For Prince William, the moment was deeply personal. He remembered how his questions about God's love had been answered not in grand revelations, but in the small acts of support from Catherine, his family, and even strangers during his darkest hours. But it didn't end there. He looked at Emily and added, "Sometimes, God's love comes through the people He puts in our lives. And I think your dad was one of those people for you. His love for you was a reflection of how much God loves you." His words brought fresh tears to Emily's eyes, but this time they were mixed with a glimmer of comfort and understanding. The encounter with Emily reminds William of similar moments with his own children, George, Charlotte, and Louis. Flashbacks show Charlotte asking him, "What happens when people go to heaven?" Or George wondering if their late great-grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, watches over them. As Emily wiped her tears with the back of her hand, Prince William's calm presence seemed to envelop her in reassurance. His voice remained steady, yet warm, as he shared his own way of coping with loss, making her feel less alone. "You know, when I think about my mum, I try to remember all the happy times we shared," he said softly, his words carrying a depth that only someone who had truly grieved could offer. "It doesn't mean I stop missing her, but those memories remind me of how much she loved me and how much I loved her." His words seemed to linger in the air, wrapping Emily in a sense of shared understanding. Emily sniffled and looked up at him, her small voice breaking through the quiet moment. "My dad used to tell me stories before bed. He made up this superhero squirrel who saved all the other animals in the park," she said, her lips curving into a faint smile. The memories seemed to lift the weight on her little shoulders, if only for a moment. Prince William's face brightened as he chuckled, genuinely delighted by the image of a superhero squirrel. "Your dad must have had a wonderful imagination," he said, his tone encouraging. "Those stories are such a special part of him that you'll always have with you. Whenever you miss him, you can think about that squirrel and all the times he made you laugh." His response sparked something in Emily, a realization that her father's love and presence could live on through the memories they had created together. For the first time in a long while, she felt a flicker of joy, even amidst her grief. Prince William's genuine engagement, paired with his ability to make her father's memory feel alive, offered her a new way to cope with her loss. The moment wasn't just about consolation. It was about showing a grieving little girl that love, even when intertwined with sorrow, could still be a source of strength. For Emily, it became a memory she would cherish, a conversation that helped her begin to heal. Little is known about Prince William's personal beliefs, making his response to Emily's heartfelt question about God all the more compelling. Born into the Anglican faith, William was christened and later confirmed in the Church of England. Yet his views have often been described as modern, suggesting discomfort with certain religious traditions. While he remains committed to fulfilling his constitutional obligations as the future Supreme Governor of the Church of England, William's approach to faith is said to be more personal and reflective than doctrinal. As William spoke to Emily, it became clear that she wasn't the only one captivated by his words. Other bystanders leaned in, eager to gain insight into his thoughts on spirituality and belief. For many, the prince is an enigmatic figure when it comes to religion, less outwardly devoted than his father, King Charles III, but still grounded in his responsibilities. Speculation has swirled over the years about whether personal experiences like Kate Middleton's health scare during her pregnancies may have influenced his views. However, those close to him insist that his beliefs remain steadfast, even as he navigates the complexities of faith and duty in the modern world. This rare glimpse into William's spiritual perspective touched a chord in the hearts of those who were present. His response, though laced with humility, suggested a reflective balance between tradition and contemporary values. The moment offered a humanizing portrait of the future king, not as a distant royal figure bound by centuries-old obligations, but as someone striving to connect with others on matters of the heart. In that shared space, his answer transcended the formality of his role. It touched everyone who sought in his words some solace and understanding. Claire stood a short distance away, her heart swelling with a mix of gratitude and emotion as she watched Prince William kneel beside her daughter. The tenderness in his voice, the time he took to listen, and the way he connected with Emily felt deeply personal. Tears brimmed in Claire's eyes as she saw her daughter's face light up, even briefly, with hope. She hadn't seen that glimmer since Mark's passing. What she did next was equally heartwarming. As the exchange ended and Prince William rose to his feet, Claire approached him with a trembling voice. "Thank you, Your Highness," she said, her hands clasped tightly. "Your words mean more than you know." Emily has been asking questions I've struggled to answer, and today you gave her something I couldn't. Peace. Prince William, ever humble, placed a reassuring hand on Claire's arm. It's moments like this that remind me why I do what I do. He replied softly, Emily's courage is extraordinary, and so is yours. Grief is a journey, but neither of you has to walk it alone. His statement struck a chord with Claire and everyone else, who had gathered close to watch the exchange in silence. They witnessed a man who had experienced grief and had learned to turn it into compassion, not a prince speaking. Everyone was reminded of the value of empathy in this moment of universal compassion that went beyond labels. Emily's encounter with Prince William wasn't memorable because he was royalty, but because of how he made her feel. She later shared the story with her friends, calling him the kind man who talked about heaven. His words reminded her that her father's love and pride still lived on in her heart. For her mother, Claire, the moment was life-changing too. It was the first time she had seen Emily smile again, giving her hope and strength to move forward. Everyone who witnessed the interaction, including Emily and Claire, felt the lasting impact of Prince William's heartfelt compassion. His response, shaped by his own experiences of loss, resonated deeply and created a connection that went beyond titles or formalities. This simple yet extraordinary moment showed the incredible influence of small acts of kindness. It also highlighted the healing power of shared experiences, reminding everyone that sometimes the right words at the right time can change lives forever. After Prince William's heartfelt response to Emily's question about God, a bystander records the interaction and posts it online. The video quickly goes viral, touching millions of hearts worldwide. People from all walks of life start sharing their own stories of faith, struggles, and loss in the comments. Religious leaders, grief counselors, and public figures weigh in on the importance of having these deep conversations, especially with children. News outlets highlight the story, and it becomes a global symbol of the power of compassion and human connection. As a result, William's words unintentionally spark a broader movement promoting empathy, understanding, and open dialogues about faith and spirituality. After the event, William feels moved by Emily's bravery and decides to send her a personal token of his appreciation. He writes her a heartfelt letter, thanking her for her courage in asking such a profound question. Alongside the letter, he includes a small pendant in the shape of an angel, symbolizing protection and comfort. The gesture resonates deeply with Emily and her family. They write back to William, expressing their gratitude and sharing how much his words and gift have helped Emily navigate her grief. The story of the gift further strengthens the emotional impact of their interaction, highlighting the enduring kindness and thoughtfulness of the prince. A few months after their first poignant encounter, Emily and Prince William crossed paths again at a community event in her neighborhood. This time, the gathering was a celebration of local youth initiatives, and Emily was there to receive recognition for her newfound involvement in a project supporting children dealing with grief. When she spotted the prince among the attendees, her face lit up, and William, remembering her instantly, greeted her warmly. He knelt to her level, asking how she had been and expressing his delight at seeing her again. During their brief but heartfelt conversation, Emily shared how much his words from their previous meeting had meant to her. She told him how his message about finding strength through faith and hope had inspired her to face her own challenges. Emily explained that it was his response that encouraged her to talk openly about her feelings, eventually leading her to join the local project that helped other children like herself. Touched by her bravery and determination, William commended her for turning a difficult experience into a source of inspiration for others, calling her a remarkable young lady. But Emily wasn't the only one who had been transformed by their interaction. As she spoke, William admitted that her heartfelt question had stayed with him, prompting him to reflect deeply on his own faith and beliefs. It was a moment that reminded him of the profound responsibility his words carried, especially when offering comfort to others. After their first meeting, the prince visited a priest to ensure his answer had been meaningful and appropriate. He confided in the priest, sharing how much Emily's question had affected him and his desire to offer her genuine reassurance. The priest affirmed that William's response had been more than sufficient, not because it was theologically perfect, but because it came from a place of sincere empathy and kindness. The priest also encouraged him to see such moments as opportunities to grow in understanding and compassion, further solidifying the prince's appreciation for the healing power of connection and shared humanity. Do you think the prince did his best in providing answers to the girl's questions? Kindly share your answers, thoughts, and opinions in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this channel to enjoy more videos like this. Also, click the next video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.